In the meantime, dozens of Palestinians gathered before a former South African President Nelson Mandela statue in the West Bank city of Ramallah to thank South Africa. This is for bringing a genocide case against Israel over its bombardment of Gaza. The crowd waved Palestinian flags, listened to speeches and held signs saying, "Stop the genocide" and "Thank you, South Africa." South Africa's ruling African National Congress has long supported the Palestinian cause, often linking it to its struggle against the apartheid government, which had cooperative relations with Israel. Mandela once famously said that South Africa's freedom would be, quote, incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians, end of quote.
The message is to remind them that we are friends of Palestine forever, you know, for better or for worse, and to say Palestine is not alone. We can't, just because we attained our freedom in 1994, forget where we come from. That's why whatever happens, we always remember that we can't be free until Palestine is free.
It's very important to show appreciation to the people who understand our pain and who felt our pain. We feel that South Africa listened to our heart, to our pain.
I'm now being joined from Johannesburg, South Africa, by Arise News correspondent Masango. Good to hear you and good to see you, Masango. Quickly, take us through what happened today in court.
So it was a very big day for South Africa today as they put their best foot forward at The Hague in the Netherlands. This was, of course, led by a team of distinguished legal counsel. Now, the legal counsel was succinctly able to deal with and put forward what is happening in Gaza right now. The suffering of the people in Gaza was put in a tapestry in what the council described as a humanitarian crisis. They meticulously put their case together in their 84-page application. And I'm going to make an example of Advocate Hassan, who went on there to detail and argue intent, to deny reproductive rights to the people there, for instance, and then went into greater detail to detail rather the genocidal acts that we've seen unfold there and that are currently unfolding as well in Gaza. So this was all in Israel's violation of the Genocide Convention. And further, they also argued on, the destruction of healthcare infrastructure, the Palestinian heritage, and let's not forget, the raft of inflammatory statements by Israel in supporting and encouraging the genocide. Now, South Africa right now is asking the court to collect and preserve evidence of genocide, to also provide reparations to Palestinian victims, must also guarantee that there will be non-repetition. And this could be something that takes years. So what they're asking for right now is for a provisional order for Israel to stop its bombardment of Gaza. And this is something that can actually take weeks. And as we've also heard from the various sound bites there, this is a move that was welcomed by many people across the board, by many people across the borders as well of South Africa, to say that South Africa has decided to not just only be all talk, particularly where this matter is concerned, but also to be of action, but also making sure that they're putting, a team of leading legal experts to lead the charge there at The Hague.
Well, I'll come back so that we can talk about the composition of that legal team. Help us make sense of what this means to the everyday South African, because we can see almost everyone being on the same page, saying that this reminds them of the dark days of apartheid.
Indeed, it takes the nation back to the dark days of apartheid. There's no doubt about it. Having to go onto the socials as well to tap into the emotions of most South Africans. This is not a matter that even, by a blink of an eye divided the country. No, it did not. South Africans mostly share the sentiments that, this was a move by South Africa that will be wildly welcomed. And I mean, the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Naledi Pandor, has been hailed right now as, as, someone whose name will go down the history books as a minister who, under her leadership, action was taken on such a major, global event that is currently happening right now. So one thing's for sure, South Africans on the socials right now have taken there to express just how, excited and privileged to be witnessing history unfolding right now, particularly where this matter of gross human rights violations is concerned, where people there are still grappling right now with all that bombardment that is happening in Gaza.
Now, Masango, let's now see the lineup of the South Africa legal team doing this historic move.
Look, it's quite impressive, I can tell you right now. And I mean, as we've seen there, just before we got underway with the conversation, we saw Ambassador Vusumuzi Madonsela, who they gave, a statement there at the start of the proceedings this morning. Minister Ronald Lamula is also in The Hague. By the way, there's also his ruling party's January 8th statement celebrations that are expected to take place here in the country in a few days' time. But he chose to, rather attend to this very important matter right now that is happening at The Hague. And he also gave some very gripping opening remarks, especially when we take this and tie it to the history of South Africa, to the history of apartheid. He made his points succinctly clear. And also when we look at the likes of Dr. Adilia Hassim, who's a senior counsel, she detailed some of the genocidal acts that have been unfolding there in Gaza, as I've also mentioned how, the rights to reproductive health are being trampled upon there. And also Mr. Tembaga Ngugaitobi, who's also senior counsel as well, went on to detail the genocidal intent there in court. And this was also detailed via videos as well. So there's also a Professor John Dugard, who's also senior counsel, many years of experience under his belt, the likes of Prof. Max du Plessis as well, who spoke about the rights requiring protection. Also, Miss Blenny Nee, who's also, detailed the urgency and irreparable harm that was caused to the people there in Palestine. And as I've also said, the ambassador came back to give his final submissions. Right now, it would seem like, the country, South Africa, has pulled out all the stops to ensure that they get their argument out there. Clear, concise, it was straight to the point. And they really did detail some of those gross human rights violations that we're currently seeing right now unfolding in Gaza.
So before I let you go, what were some of the moments that stood out for you?
You know what, having went through that 84-page application, I can tell you right now, there were great moments to have come out of that. Like I've also mentioned, like as the senior counsel continued to detail, their points. I mean, senior counsel Ngugaitobi went on to detail genocidal intent. That was just, after Dr. Hassim, senior counsel, also came into detail some of the genocidal acts that we're seeing unfolding there in Gaza. This was done through videos as well as various evidence as well. So there were great and poignant moments that had, put us to this particular moment. These were the actual moments that when South Africa announced that they will be taking this up with the International Court of Justice, these were the moments that we waited for. These were the moments that we wanted to see come out of this particular moment. And of course, they received a resounding reaction from all borders, particularly where South Africans are concerned right now. Even right now, the conversations are still ongoing on the social media spaces where they've actually hailed the South African government for this move, to say that this was actually a step in the right direction, to show that government is actually not all talk, but they can actually also take action, particularly where gross human rights violations are concerned.
I'd like to thank you for your time, Masango. We'll stay on this and we'll get back to you in our subsequent news.